Hey, presuppose that into action. So we watched one Andrew Tate video. Maybe we want to watch another one. So we got Andrew Tate in the most intense argument with liberal. He has pink hair. He's a guy. Let's get into it.
He is a victim.
Actually, I say that. You can have pink hair and a guy. It don't mean shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't mean shit.
That's what you look like, my friend, and it's your own choice.
See, that's just it, though. The only reason they would choose you in that element is because of the patriarchal, male-dominated society that we
fucking go. Here we go.
Here's the deal, Andrew.
This is fun. No. I'm not done.
Andrew, listen to me.
History that wasn't patriarchal. Name a society from history that was not patriarchal.
See, listen to me, though. That is why people like yourself are bugging and going into hyper mode right now. Because society's changing. Society's changing.
I'll tell you why, my friend. I'll tell you why we cannot name a single society in history across the entire planet that was not patriarchal. Because patriarchal societies are optimized to survive. When things get difficult, when people are put in survival situations, we naturally revert to our gender roles. I'll tell you something, if we were all on a ship and the ship got shipwrecked, the men would start building and digging and hunting, and the women would start gathering and doing what women are naturally adept at. Because when it comes down to survival, you have to do what you are most competent at. And men are more competent at certain things, and females are more competent at certain things. I'm not
gonna lie. You can hate all you want, but that's kind of facts. It's kind of facts. I'm not gonna lie. It's facts. There's just some things that, you know, it comes naturally more to women, and certain things that come naturally to men. That's facts. I'm being honest. Like, it's facts.
Not all men. Not all men. And not all female.
No, that is true. But we're talking about majority. Majority of females and men have different things that they're good at. So
my point is, patriarchal societies are more competitive than any other type of society because society functions better as a patriarchy. So the reason you cannot name a single society in history that was not a patriarchy is because all of the societies, and I'm sure there were some, which were not patriarchal, were destroyed by patriarchal societies. They were wiped off the face of the planet because they are not competitive. They don't have books to read. They do not have monuments to find. And the point I'm making is that in the
yo, man,
harsh reality of ultra competitiveness, only patriarchal societies can survive. So the reason you cannot name one from history is because all the ones that tried this idea that you're trying to purport were destroyed in real time. And in the West, in America, as we stand right now in America, which I wouldn't even call it a patriarchal society because it isn't, because females have more rights under the law than men.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh man, this guy's throwing shots.
They do. And I'm telling you now,
are so
as America falls apart and the patriarchy is disintegrated, all that's going to happen is that other countries like Russia, like China, like countries which are still patriarchal, will remain more competitive than the West, and you're not going to fix the world. America's just going to end up a third world shithole. So throwing the fucking patriarchy away to fix a fucking thing. You live in a clown world.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I do live in a clown world. Because there are people like you that are sitting there like pushing this inane philosophy. So yeah, I get it. I accept that. But first off, we haven't seen a non-patriarchal society yet. We're definitely moving toward it. And if you want to look at America and look at some of the problems with America, like what problems do we have? Well, there's an enormous wealth gap. You mentioned the Roman Empire earlier. The Roman Empire didn't fall because of laziness. It fell because of overconfidence, because of an income gap between the richest and the poor, and because of political corruption. All three things that are sort of happening in America right now. So absolutely, America could fall, but it's not because men were turning soft, right? The idea of men being soft, the idea of men being soft, Andrew, is a battle cry of men who see that purely physical stature is no longer the only defining quality. Because, like you said,
I mean, everybody knows that physical stature isn't the only defining quality. The other defining quality is your money. Simple. Women are gonna want you for two things: your looks or your money.
Line me and you up, and all those brutes like the cops or somebody looking for pure strength would choose you.
And to all people who say out there that that's not true, yes, the fuck it is. Because what's the first impression? What you look like or how much money you have. If they know you because of how much money you have, or they can see how much money you have, it makes them more attracted to you, or you look good. I mean, it's simple.
To defend them. But anybody who was from a marginalized group that was looking for an emotional defender, those people would pick me, right? And they wouldn't pick the muscular guy because they know that I have the inner strength to actually have an openness and a vulnerability that can relate to them and that can help them find that empowerment in themselves. I don't want to train people to be cheap. You know what I mean? Like we go to your Instagram page and you talk about being the Messiah and all this other BS. You want people to follow you like you're some sort of like deity boss, and that's actually a sign of your own weakness at work, right? That's coming from your own trauma, your own unhealed trauma.
Firstly, the fact you think that you're talking to marginalized people more than me, it doesn't even make sense. Because I'm talking to groups of people, you're talking to groups of people, and both of them includes marginalized communities. Secondly, the fact that I am actually mixed race, that I grew up in the south side of Chicago with my father.
Absolutely.
I know more about marginalized communities than you do, because you are as white as they can come, and you're sitting there talking about
marginalized. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
You're marginalized.
Absolutely.
I never woke up and thought I'm brown, so I had to find this white guy with pink hair to fight for me. I woke up and fought for myself. And that is the point. You know when you fight for yourself when you're a man. That requires all forms of power, whether it be emotional, mental, and physical. You just sit here telling men they should be as weak as possible, sitting around doing nothing, is not good for society as a whole. And there's nothing wrong with patriarchal society.
I'm not advocating for weakness. Like, I'm advocating for people to heal and to heal their trauma and not use their trauma like you do and then aim it at select groups of people in order to gain power and money, right, and status so you can walk around with a deity, right?
I think that all men, if you're a good man, you're going to have a traumatic life. That's part of being a man. And I think
it's not even a part of being a man. It's a part of being a human being on the planet. You're going to have a traumatic life. Sure, right? But you got to heal the trauma. The trauma doesn't make you unless you heal it. If you don't heal it, you go around, say, dumping it on women, right? By waltzing around talking about how you got to protect women. You got to get a cut of her OnlyFans and all this because you own her private parts. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. That's your trauma speaking.
It depends how you heal the trauma, right? And when I said that being a trauma is part of being a good man, you said it's part of being a human. I agree, but I think you can be a very, very good woman with a good heart, and you can be a good person. You don't need a traumatic life to be a good woman. However, to be a good man, you need to have a traumatic life because any man who's not had. I'll tell you why. Let me answer. Any man who's not had difficulty, any man who's not gone through something that's difficult is not very good at being a man because when shit hits the fan, people turn to the nearest man in the room and say, what is the solution? Someone just broke in the house. You go to the man.
I'm not going to lie. He's speaking facts right now. You did go to the man, high key. You did go to the man. No girl is going to be with the man in their house. They hear some noise at the door and she's gonna be like, hold on, babe, let me go check it. No, she's gonna be like, get your ass up, go check and see what's going on.
A natural disaster, a hurricane, you go to the man. There's a war, you go to the men. So men who have not been through trauma are not very good at being men because they're not capable of dealing with trauma.
Wait, so pause right there though, Andrew. Because you said when you go to war, you go to the men. But the only reason you have a war is because of men and their lack of awareness about their own feelings. That's why war exists in the first place.
So you're saying
if you had more women leaders, we wouldn't even have war.
Okay, so
if we had more women leaders, we wouldn't even have war. Men literally are responsible.
Okay, I'm gonna cut that shit right there. That shit is false.
For war by a
that shit is false. This guy's trying to hype up the fact that men and women are equal, and then he goes back to diss us. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? We can't both be equally responsible for war? I mean, we can't both be equally responsible for war because men are normally in power. But I'm saying equally able to start a war? Come on now.
Emotional awareness.
Interesting. Interesting. So let's make this the final point before we move on. You just said that if all the leaders were women, we wouldn't even have war.
I said if we had more women leaders, yes, there would be less war.
The fact that you hate your own gender so much is quite amazing to me. But actually,
I don't hate my own gender.
Here's another point.
See, why do you
do the point? Let me tell you why you're wrong.
No, you don't get to gaslight me and tell me I hate my own gender just because I'm displaying a version of manhood that you're uncomfortable looking at. You don't get to say I
don't give a fuck.
I'm weak because I present a version of manhood that has struggled just like you, that has conquered just like you, but lives outside.
I mean, let's be honest. There is a certain level, certain manhood that is desirable, and certain manhood is not. I mean, let's be honest.
Idealized patriarchy that was sold.
All manhood is necessarily when it's desirable.
You love men. You love men. Cool. The point I'm making is, you're saying that the world wouldn't have.
Dude, you are backed up against the wall.
Wait. No, chill. Let Tate have his final statement, then we're going to wrap this up and get someone else.
Yeah, I'm in here right now. I just got to fix my camera. One second.
John, let's go, man. I appreciate you.
I'm interested in seeing what the chat thinks. The reason you're totally wrong saying that the world would have less war if there was no female leaders is because if you actually ask anybody who's been in the corporate world for long enough, the companies that have the most arguments, the most difficult corporate structures to deal with, in fact, even if you ask most women, they say, I don't like having a woman boss, I'd rather work for a man. When you have a whole bunch of women in charge, it's nothing but a fucking fest, and it's a shit show. Every single person who's ever worked in corporate knows that. Every single person who's ever...
Oh, shit, man. Oh shit, he don't give a fuck, man. He don't give a fuck, man. Damn.
That women actually, as beautiful as they are and they're good at lots of different things, they would they would prefer to work for a male boss because it's a stronger, more clear leadership structure. Having a bunch of women in charge of countries is not going to make a peaceful world. And the fact you believe that shows your entire mental model's fucked.
Andy, take care, brother. Hassan, I just want to say thanks to you, boss. I appreciate you, man, putting the word out there. Thank you, guys.
Good to talk, bro.
Have a good day.
Appreciate you coming on, Tommy. Have a good one, man.
Thank you.
How do you feel about my guy, Tommy?
I don't know him personally. I have nothing against him personally. He's a new age thinker. He lives in the new think, the idea that the way the world runs and has always run is a bad thing, and that if we change everything from the ground up, it's somehow going to become a magically better place. Obviously, he has no proof or any references for his way of thinking because it's never been tested before. It's an untested theory. I think that for him to come along and say such blanket statements that if we changed all the world leaders to women, there wouldn't be war is inane and asinine. I think for him to say that a man who's physically strong can't be mentally strong is also stupid. But I also understand why he's saying the ideas he's saying, because he has a natural insecurity based on the fact that he's not a physical specimen of man, and the way he gets around it is to pretend that that's not important, which is fine. Lots of people do it, right? Stupid people say,
oh shit, bro. He's kind of breaking it down.
being smart's not important. Poor people saying being rich is not important. It's a common defense mechanism that everybody does, and I completely understand it. However, most people with a basic grasp of economics and the way societies work would look at society and say, you know what, a society with brave, strong men who are full of honor and duty is actually a better society than men who walk around saying, I have no duty to protect anybody or protect anything, and I can just sit around and cry all day. And this theory is being tested in real time, right? America's quickly turning into the latter, and we can see crime rates going through the roof. We can see all the fucking shooting and all this stupid shit that's happening because men have no emotional control anymore. And that's what's going to happen. Is the society's going to degrade, and the countries where men still stick to their honor and their age-old expected ways of acting, they're going to be a safer societies overall. So time will prove me right, but I have nothing against the guy. He's fine.
Damn. Hey, make sure you like, subscribe, and react to you next. Deuces.